What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Liam Picks Fights. I'm excited that you decided to join me today. I've got a lot of exciting betting action to break down for you from the upcoming UFC on Vegas 19, Curtis Blaydes versus Derrick Lewis. We got another colossal heavyweight main event. Should be a big fight. Should be a great card. We have 15 fights slated right now. Ton of action. I have a lot of betting action myself. I have 15 wagers currently posted at betmma.tips/LiamHeslin. So, guys, I got a lot of action. I'm fired up to break down this card for you, and I'm excited to get started. So, today on the show, we're going to be breaking down my action. And before we do that, I just want to say, everybody who's watching this video, guys, first of all, if you've already subscribed, thank you so much. My goal was to get to 50 subscribers by UFC 258. We've already blown past that. We're into the 60s. I really appreciate each and every one of you that has subscribed to the channel. If you're watching this right now and you haven't subscribed yet, guys, please jump on board the train, get involved, subscribe, hit that notification bell if you want to see when I'm posting content. Just so you guys know, earlier this week, there was a Chris Daukaus bet given out at minus 180. That price went down to minus 160 and has since gone all the way back up to minus 205, minus 210 in some places. So guys, early in the week, I'm getting out some betting breakdowns, some UFC quick picks, getting you guys these lines before they get steamed. So hopefully you have a better chance of getting these prices that I'm getting as opposed to getting a price after it's already been steamed by other betting action. So guys, like I said, subscribe to the channel, give this video a like. I appreciate when you do. Here is what we've got for you on tap. I'm going to first break down what's my action on the main event, guys. I have, first and foremost, a prop bet for you. Curtis Blaydes inside the distance, minus 165. Let's break this down. Why do I have Curtis Blaydes in this matchup, guys? I think that it should be obvious to anybody who's ever watched Curtis Blaydes fight. This guy has one of the most clear process-oriented styles in the heavyweight division, with the exception of two fights where he was defeated by finish against Francis Ngannou. You know, Curtis Blaydes has been running through the competition in the UFC heavyweight division, and he's been doing this without, a ton of difficulty, guys. That last fight against Alexander Volkov was a little spotty, but even still, it was a dominant decision victory for Curtis Blaydes over a very talented and rough competitor in Volkov, who is a top 5 heavyweight in my view. So Curtis Blaydes has cemented himself at the top of this division. And I think that Derrick Lewis, unfortunately, has a style that's not built for 5 rounds. Unfortunately, Derrick Lewis has a style that's not built to grapple strategically. He's a very powerful grappler. Derrick Lewis is a very difficult man to control on the ground. He's a difficult man to submit. So I grant those things about Derrick Lewis, but I also think that Derrick Lewis doesn't have a great process for winning minutes of fights. He doesn't have a great round winning process. He has the most heavyweights, the most knockouts in UFC heavyweight history, in part because that's his method of victory. Derrick Lewis, with the exception of that Francis Ngannou decision, and a handful of others he's been able to scrape out. I think that this is a guy who's basically KO reliant, especially in a matchup with Curtis Blaydes, where Curtis has a clear pathway for winning rounds and minutes by pushing Derrick against the cage, by taking Derrick Lewis down, by getting on top of him and landing ground and pound. And I think that Curtis Blaydes is a very competent striker in his own right. He knocked out the likes of Junior Dos Santos on the feet. So I think that Curtis Blaydes has every advantage in this fight. I think that he should be the better, cleaner striker overall. I think that Derrick Lewis has power and he's scary. And so, when I see the price at minus 475 or something on Curtis Blaydes on the money line, that's, outrageous. Not really what I'm looking to pay on any kind of bet, especially, a money line heavyweight fight. I'm not really looking to spend, 4.5 to 1 there or more on Curtis Blaydes. So if you had gotten in on Curtis Blaydes at minus 300, I think that that's a fine bet. I think that if you're taking Curtis Blaydes, much further beyond that, it might be a trap bet. I think that Derrick Lewis doesn't have a great chance of winning this fight, but if he does win this fight, it's going to be on the feet. It should be inside the distance. Although I will also acknowledge that Derrick Lewis has some hellacious ground and pound, and so if he was to somehow get on top of Curtis Blaydes, which I don't think is altogether very likely, but I do think that Derrick Lewis is capable of doing a lot of damage from the top position, and that should be acknowledged as well. However, Curtis Blaydes, best ground and pound in the sport, maybe, certainly some of the best ground and pound we've ever seen in the heavyweight division, absolutely brutalized the likes of Alistair Overeem with those elbows from the top position. I think that we're going to see Curtis Blaydes in the top position a lot. I think that we're going to see him dropping a lot of hammers and bombs on Derrick Lewis, and I think that Derrick Lewis is eventually going to relent to that pressure. Now, I took an additional stab here, guys, a very small one, 0.25 units. So that means my total stake on this fight is 1.75 units across two bets. But 0.25 units on another prop, Blaydes by submission, at plus 900. So Curtis Blaydes has no career submissions. And I know that you're thinking, Liam, why would you bet on something that's never happened? I am only putting this wager down because I think that the plus 900 line is a little crazy, given that Curtis Blaydes is likely to be in the top position. Derrick Lewis is likely to be under a lot of pressure. He's likely to be at a cardio disadvantage in this matchup. And I think that, I don't expect to see Derrick Lewis submit to strikes here, but I do think that we could see, a rear naked choke due to exhaustion kind of submission a la the Daniel Cormier-Derrick Lewis fight. So I think it's not unreasonable to say that Curtis Blaydes could get his first career submission victory over Derrick Lewis, especially if he's going to have so much time in the top position. And Derrick Lewis is just not as credentialed on the ground in terms of his wrestling or his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So I am taking those two small stabs on the main event action, and hopefully Curtis Blaydes gets the job done inside the distance. I am pretty confident that he will, but I think that, like I said, guys, the money line has been completely steamed. I would not touch Curtis Blaydes on the money line. I wouldn't even parlay it, but that's just me. So on to my next bet, guys. I have a heavyweight step-up fight here, and if you guys watched the video earlier this week, then you know what I'm talking about, and if you didn't, no problem. I want to bring you guys up to speed. So Chris Daukaus is going to be taking on Aleksei Oleinik in this fight. Guys, I tipped this line earlier in the week at minus 180, like I mentioned before. I have also updated my betmma.tips profile to reflect that I am taking additional action. I saw the line move down to minus 160, and so I added from 2.1 units at minus 180, I added an additional 0.9 units at minus 160, meaning that I have a total of 3 units staked on Chris Daukaus on the money line versus Aleksei Oleinik. And the reason I did that, guys, is for several reasons. Number one, Chris Daukaus is the faster, younger, more athletic of these two fighters. I believe that he is closer to the prime of his career than Aleksei Oleinik, who comes into this contest 43 years old, who comes into this contest having lost 3 of his last 5 fights by knockout, having lost 4 of his last 8 fights by knockout. And I think that Aleksei Oleinik's in a world of trouble here, guys. I think that Chris Daukaus has fast hands. I think that he is a potential contender in this heavyweight division. He has a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I don't think that he's the slouch on the ground that people are making him out to be. I watched his regional footage. He was not in as good a shape in his regional footage as he's been in the UFC. In the UFC, guys, he's looked excellent. He knocked out Rodrigo Nascimento like it was nothing. He knocked out Parker Porter, who's gone on to have other success in the UFC since then. He knocked out Parker Porter and made it look easy. This guy has fast hands. He's got explosive combinations. He has the hands, the power, the ability to put somebody away. And I think that he's probably going to do that to Aleksei Oleinik very quickly, guys. Aleksei Oleinik was knocked out in just a matter of seconds against Walt Harris. And I feel like this is a matchup that bears a lot of similarities to that. A younger, more athletic, hungrier heavyweight coming in against a guy who's going to be relying on getting close to him, getting a hold of him, trying to get hands on him. I grant that Aleksei Oleinik is a talented guy. He's an inspiration. He's had over 70 MMA fights. The guy's a freaking warrior. And, all salute to the career of Aleksei Oleinik. I have made money betting on Aleksei Oleinik by submission against the likes of Maurice Green. So I know that he's capable of pulling off these moves even well into his 40s. But I think that it's a matchup issue in this case. I think Chris Daukaus is better than him. I think Chris Daukaus is faster than him. I think he's more athletic. I think he's just so much younger that he's going to come into this fight fresh. Aleksei's going to come into this fight with a lot of damage. He's been knocked out a lot, guys. I think that this is the end of the road for Aleksei Oleinik, the Boa Constrictor. I love him. I appreciate his career. I wish him the best in his future endeavors, but I think he's probably going to get knocked out in less than a minute by Chris Daukaus on Saturday night. In addition, guys, 2 units. This is a round total. I'm going under 1.5 rounds. Here's my justification, and it's a simple one, guys. I think either way, no matter who wins this fight, Chris Daukaus or Aleksei Oleinik, I think this fight is likely to be done in 7.5 minutes. Chris Daukaus is a first-round finisher. He's a guy with a lot of knockouts in the first round. I think that he could easily take out Aleksei Oleinik on the feet, and I've explained that. However, if you think Aleksei Oleinik's going to win, guys, Aleksei Oleinik only has 1 round of cardio. You know, we saw that in the Derrick Lewis fight. He got knocked out almost immediately in the second round because he didn't have the same energy to come back out. He has to lay down in between rounds, and I don't blame him. He's in his mid-40s, but he sells out in the very first round, going for the finish, and so I think that we're either going to see a finish for Aleksei Oleinik in the first round, a finish for Chris Daukaus in the first round, or a very, very early second-round finish for Chris Daukaus. That's my prediction for this fight, guys. I don't see a way that this goes over 1.5. It's possible, but I just feel like the conclusion to this fight will come rapidly. If Aleksei Oleinik isn't able to get the submission, he is going to be in a lot of danger on the feet. I don't know that he could stand up to the power and the speed, the precision, and the boxing acumen of the likes of Chris Daukaus. So, like I said, I'm taking Chris Daukaus. I believe he gets it done in under 1.5 rounds. I have a bunch of exposure on that fight, but I feel pretty confident about it. I think that I lined Chris Daukaus somewhere between -225 and -250 for this contest. So there might still be a tiny bit of value on him at -200. Anything past that, guys, I would pass on it. You're starting to get to the point where, you know, you're not really getting a tremendous value on the line. So Chris Daukaus is my pick here. I think that you wait, and if you guys want the better value, that under 1.5 was at -150, and that gives you the possibility that either guy's going to win. So I'm very convicted in that Chris Daukaus pick. If you guys feel the opposite way, then I would play Aleksei Oleinik by sub and Daukaus Oleinik to go under 1.5 rounds, because I think that Aleksei Oleinik only has 7.5 minutes of gas. So if you think he's going to win, bet him to do it under 7.5 minutes. All right, guys, one more fairly sizable play for you, and then we'll move on to some of my favorite props of the night. But these are all props on this fight. I did take 1 unit of moneyline action on Nassourdine Imavov against Phil Hawes at +110. And the reason I did that is because I think Nassourdine Imavov should be favored probably -125 to -150, somewhere in that range against Phil Hawes. The reason being is because Phil Hawes is a talented fighter. He's got heavy power. He's very athletic. He has a Division I wrestling background. But so far in his pro MMA career, I've seen no evidence that he can go past the first round with cardio to spare. So in his only fights that have gone past the first round, this guy has been finished. He lost a decision to Andrew Sanchez, I believe it was, in a fight-in for the Ultimate Fighter. So he didn't end up making the show. He lost a 2-round decision to not get onto the show. So he wasn't finished in every fight, but that's a weird kind of exhibition bout. In his professional bouts on Dana White's Contender Series against Julian Marquez, he got knocked out in a tournament. I think it was when it was still World Series of Fighting. If I'm wrong, it was Professional Fighters League. He fought Luis Taylor, and he got beat in that fight as well. He got submitted there in the second round. And I watched both those fights, guys. He is completely gassed in those fights by the second round, and he starts wrestling in a way that is very compromised. So he starts wrestling with his head and neck out there. That's what gave him up for the guillotine against Taylor. But he also just starts firing attacks from further away. They're more predictable. They're more elongated. They're not clean finishes. And I think that it's going to catch up to him against Imavov here. Now, granted, is Phil Hawes capable of winning this fight by knockout in the first round? Certainly. I mean, that's basically what Phil Hawes does. But my question is, what if Phil Hawes doesn't win this fight by knockout in the first round? It's possible that he has the cardio improvements to go all 3 rounds here, but without having seen the evidence on tape, I'm not sure I want to buy that. And Nassourdine Imavov, his fight in the UFC against Jordan Williams, that was an absolute war. I thought that he controlled that fight. I thought he did a better job doing damaging strikes than Williams did. He did a better job in the wrestling and grappling exchanges than Williams did. He had several close guillotine attacks. I think that somebody like Phil Hawes will get submitted if he is put into one of those guillotine chokes. I don't think he's going to get out of them, especially if it's in that second round, guys, where we've seen him gas out. We've seen him, I don't want to say give up, but, be unable to answer that call. And he looked visibly gassed against Julian Marquez. Julian Marquez, who's, coming off of a barely win over Maki Pitolo this past weekend, where he got out-wrestled the whole time. And, I just think that there's some cause for concern. Now, Phil Hawes is a talented guy, but I think that because I haven't seen him go past 2 rounds, and I don't know that he could do that, I wasn't impressed by the Jacob Malkoun fight, and I'm not sure why that fight took place. So I think that Phil Hawes is coming in here with some momentum, but I don't think that he should be the favorite in this contest. I think that Imavov should be the favorite in this contest. So I'm going to take a small stab on him, 1 unit at plus 110 on the money line. And I'm also going to take a few more stabs, guys. I've got Nassourdine Imavov, 1 unit inside the distance at plus 200. And the reason I took that line is because, Phil Hawes has shown that he gets finished if he goes past that first round. So I think Imavov, who has a history of getting some finishes in his own career, I think that he has every possibility of gassing out Phil Hawes and catching him here with a submission or even by knockout if Phil Hawes gets tired. I think that, I took a couple stabs here because I'm willing to say, I think Phil Hawes hasn't proved that he has the cardio to go. And so until proven otherwise, I'm taking these stabs, guys. I have 0.25 units, Imavov by sub, plus 475. Think that line's wide. I have 0.25 units, him by sub in round 2 at plus 1,600. The reason I'm taking that, again, we have evidence that Phil Hawes can be finished in the second round. We have evidence that his gas tank is diminished by the second round. I'm going to take advantage. If you give me a plus 1,600 line there, I don't have to win that bet a lot of the time for it to be a profitable wager. And coming off the success that I had last week playing Pollyanna Vienna and stacking some of those wagers inside the distance, round, method of victory, I think that I'm going to try and do that a little bit here. So granted, guys, this is a little bit of degenerate action. I think if you want the safer play, you take a small stab at Imavov at plus money on the money line. If you want to go a little deeper on the degenerate action here, then maybe you take a look at some of those other lines. You take a look at the sub price at plus 475. You take a look at that KO price at plus 425. You take a look at the different round totals. I think on my book, it was locked to bet on Imavov in round 3. I wonder why, guys. I think a lot of sharps are taking action on that because we've seen that Phil Hawes, has a propensity to get tired if that fight gets extended. So I'm backing Imavov here. I got a couple different small wagers on him. I would encourage you, like I said, check out betmma.tips/LiamHeslin if you want to see my full plays. And I have written breakdowns for these plays, guys, as well. So if you want the full rationale, check that out. But my pick is Nassourdine Imavov. He's one of my favorite underdogs on this card. My other favorite props of the night, guys, I'm going to leave you with 2 quick props on the way out and why I think that there might be some value. So first, I have 0.5 units on Derrick Minner inside the distance at plus 300. He's fighting Charles Rosa here, guys. I think that this is a good fight on paper. I think that Rosa is at a put up or shut up kind of point in his career. He's been alternating wins and losses in the UFC. He's been around for a while, not really making waves. Got really badly controlled and beaten up by Bryce Mitchell, and then is coming off of a split decision win over Kevin Aguilar that was a little underwhelming. So I think that Charles Rosa is a decent fighter, but I think that Derrick Minner's got the upside in this spot here. He's the underdog on the money line, but I also just think that in his current form, Derrick Minner's a dangerous guy. He's got a lot of first-round submissions, guys. He's got a lot of finishes in his pro MMA career. Got a lot of losses, too. So that's why I'm not playing him on the money line here, even though it's plus 170 or so. I'm going to take a small stab, Derrick Minner inside the distance. Guys, he either wins this fight inside the distance or he gets finished himself. That's the Derrick Minner story. I think that Derrick Minner, by first-round sub, is live. I think that Derrick Minner is capable of winning this fight in the first 7.5 minutes by finish. But I also think that if it gets extended beyond that, he's likely to be gassed, completely spent, and finished on the other side by Charles Rosa. If not, beaten down to, pretty thorough decision by the end of it. So that's why I'm not backing him on the money line, but why I think there might be value inside the distance is plus 300. His most likely method of victory is submission at plus 350. And I think that you could probably get in by submission in round 1 at a pretty good price, probably plus 350 or plus 360, something like that. So I would take a look at some of those lines, but I like the Derrick Minner inside the distance plus 300. Small stab, covers a lot of different bases, and I think that the upside is on Derrick Minner a little bit in that contest. I think that should be a pick-up matchup. 0.25 units. This is my last play I'll give you guys. A little small stab here. I don't know for sure that this is going to come true, but I just thought that the line was crazy, man. Eddie Wineland by KO at plus 500. Okay? I was surprised to see that. Eddie Wineland, listen to this, folks. 63% of his 24 pro wins, 15 total, have been by KO or TKO, including his last 4 wins. So Eddie Wineland's last 4 wins have come by KO. And 7 of his 8 last wins. So of his most recent wins, 7 of his 8 most recent wins are by knockout. And it's at plus 500. And this is a very closely lined fight, guys. I'm pretty sure that Eddie Wineland is plus 100 in this matchup. John Castaneda has been knocked out before. Granted, it was on the regional scene. There's no footage of it that I could find on the internet. I looked for it thoroughly. So I think that Eddie Wineland is live to get a KO here. I think that he still has tools on the feet. I think that on the other side, Castaneda is live to get a knockout here. Eddie Wineland's coming off a vicious knockout loss to Sean O'Malley. I'm not denying that, but I think that he could still crack. I rewatched that the Popov fight. Grigory Popov, I believe is the gentleman's name, and that was a freaking beatdown by Eddie Wineland. Eddie Wineland walked him down, was throwing fast hands, was really hurting him, touching him to the head, to the body, mixing up hooks, throwing long combinations, boxing. I think that Eddie Wineland's still a very dangerous fighter. I think that O'Malley was faster, younger, more athletic, more technical. I think that Castaneda, this is a guy who's, I believe, coming off of 1 win and 2 losses in his last 3 fights from Combate Americas. And against guys that I've never heard of, against guys with records that I didn't find exceptional. A split decision loss and a decision loss. I watched some of his footage. Castaneda doesn't strike me as anything, too special. I don't think he's a bad fighter by any means. I think he's a serviceable workman-like fighter. But I think that Eddie Wineland has faced way better competition. I think that he has way more hitting power. And I think Eddie Wineland might be able to take him out unless his chin is completely deteriorated. So I'm taking a 0.25 unit stab on Eddie Wineland by KO at plus 500. I really think that there's some value there. If you like Eddie Wineland, that might be how you back him, guys. Again, 7 of his last 8 wins are by knockout. I think that if he gets it done, he's probably going to get it done that way. So thank you guys for tuning in. I hope that I've been able to give you guys some good plays today. And if you've been tailing over time, I hope that you guys have been making money. So far for the year, guys, we're up 10.48 units. We're at around a 34% return on investment so far in 2021. Right now, I'm 37 of 57 in terms of predicting fight outcomes. That's 65%. So I'm very satisfied with how the year's going so far. I'm very thankful for all the people that are tuning in, that are subscribing, that are liking the videos, that are giving me feedback, that are commenting below. I really appreciate all that stuff, guys. Thank you. If you decide to play my picks tonight, guys, let me know in the comments section below. I'd really appreciate it if you do. If you decide to fade my picks, I understand and I appreciate it. That's awesome. No big deal. I won't take it personal. Let me know that as well in the comment section below. Guys, I just made a new logo. I'm working with a couple partners, trying to come up with the best logo I can. I updated it. It's on my YouTube. Please, if you have thoughts, feedback, let me know. Share that with me and get at me on social media. That's another great way to get a hold of me. If you don't want to drop a comment, just find me on Twitter at HeslinLiam or find me on Instagram at LiamPicksFights. Guys, I really appreciate the support. I appreciate everybody checking out the channel. And I will let you know that we're going to have more great content coming this week. I appreciate your patience. This show is getting more and more upgrades. I'm investing more and more time into it. There's going to be more UFC quick picks coming in the very near future, guys. So thank you. My name is Liam. This has been another great episode of Liam Picks Fights. Come back next Friday. We're going to have all the same fun again then. In the meantime, God bless you all. Enjoy the fights. Thank you so much, and we'll see you soon.